Okay, righto. Neil Cox, a big time.
Yeah, I mean the last 6 months for us all, especially as a team collectively, we've had quite a different race so far. From pretty much the 29th of November, when we had the grounding in Sud, we've had to just shift into a totally different gear to what we were setting up for the race. There are so many things you can plan for in this race, and there's always that one thing you could never plan for, or everything you have to plan for. But it's just something we've had to deal with, and I think in all, to find ourselves where we are now, we've handled it pretty well.
The detail of the rebuild, complicated getting it back to one design?
Yeah, I mean, the whole process of just being able to re-enter the race, it's more to it than just the boat. There's obviously an enormous amount of bureaucracy, all kinds of things that we had to deal with to just be able to renegotiate our re-entry in there, and the fact that to be able to build a boat and the timeline and everything else we're up against to get there, it took a lot of work in the early days to be able to create a schedule that was actually viable to re-enter the race. We're very fortunate that one of the consortium members put their hand up, and they literally threw us a lifeline. Without the help of Persico and their belief that we could get this done, we probably wouldn't be here right now. They were enormous support for us the whole way through the project. And to be quite honest, the whole thing's been a collaboration. It hasn't just been one organisation, one group of people, or one person. It's been a fact that we've had the support of VOR, we've had the full support of Vestas, we've had the support of Powerhouse, we've had the support of the team. The belief that we could do this and get back into the race. And I think without that we would have never got here. And for it, we're very grateful. So we've been very fortunate.
And lots of paperwork getting into Portugal then.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of paperwork everywhere in the race right now. I mean, the reality of it is that we're held to a very strict one design rule, and we could have done all this work, and the reality of it was is that until we were measured in and given a certificate, it could have all been for nothing. That leading into that week where we're going into the measurement process with the race measurer James Dadd, there's a lot to, like we've tried to be as meticulous as we could the whole way through the process of putting the boat back together. And you're very fortunate in the sense the information you have that's been documented with all the previous boats, we're able to cross-reference so much, and that gave us a very good indication that we should hopefully be on track to that we were creating a boat that was 100% one design and could re-enter the race without any issues.
Going all the way back to the shoal, you were pretty amazed to get it off there, weren't you?
I mean, at times I actually need to remind myself that we're out there. Like when we're out in Sud, I remember when the sun came up that very first morning and we could see the boat a couple of kilometres away from where we could anchor, and to think that we could be here 6 months later. I mean, it was literally the 29th of November that we were dealing with the whole, the situation began. It was the 29th of May here that we're looking at relaunching the boat, so it was pretty amazing. And I think of what we had to go through just to get off the reef. Once upon a time it was just a salvage operation, and everything became just a series of baby steps. It was a case of, okay, let's see if we can salvage the boat. Let's see what of the boat we can salvage. It was never the intent to leave the boat out there. We obviously had a very strong mandate from both Vestas and VOR that they wanted to make sure that we did everything we could to get the boat back off the reef and into a position where we're doing everything right environmentally and everything else, just to give us the opportunity to assess the situation, that if re-entry was possible. And then obviously the next step was, okay, what boatyard, who are the consortium can help, just going through all that process of, it was more about whittling down all the no's to find what the yeses were, and then be able to build from the yeses into creating a project again.
And how many times did you wake up in the middle of the night thinking this isn't going to happen?
I must admit, there were even up until the last 2 weeks, there were days where you would think, we're in good shape here, like you do your time on, you're literally doing time on distance for the last 3 months. Now we've done this so many times, this is what you do. You know how long build times are, man hours, the skill set you've got in front of you that are doing that kind of work, so that helps what you can achieve in this timeline. We had days at the yard where I thought we are in really good shape. I had other days after that day where I'd be going, oh, we've still got some on here, so I must admit, until we, even the confirmation of getting on the correct ship to get down here to Lisbon, all those kind of things, it was literally down to the wire in every regard and every aspect. So although the last couple of weeks I was quietly confident but didn't want to spook the herd into an overconfidence in any way, but at the same time I had a good belief that from probably a month out that we were in good shape.
The shakedown is pretty abbreviated.
Yeah, so no, I mean obviously just launching a boat is one thing. To have the boat in the water, it's a fantastic achievement, a great milestone for everybody involved. At the same time, all you've got is a boat floating in the water, which is, looks great, but at the end of the day, it's still got to be fit for purpose. So we went for a pretty good sail on, or 2 days ago was our first shakedown sail. Yeah, it's the usual way. We promise ourselves a protocol of how we'll do things, and we'll just ease into it. In all fairness, we adhered to it probably better than we normally do, in the sense that we did our rig tuning that we wanted to do. We tested all those things, saw the numbers we wanted to see. We looked at the sails we needed to see. And then it comes down to that, like, okay, how much load do you want to put on the boat in that first day? And as per usual, next thing you know, we're fully loaded, keel up, like full cant, and almost porpoising the bulb just to see how much load testing we could put on the keel system. But no, the boat's held together very well. Very fortunate. Another great day sailing yesterday, where we're off for Cascais and 27, 28 knots of breeze. The boat saw enough to give you confidence in it. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Obviously the guys sailing around the world have learned a lot more about these boats than you know, probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be one thing, like it's great to, and you can feel the confidence within the team as it's building, as they're getting to spend time around the boat. But at the end of the day, there's a group of people here that have spent another 20,000 miles on these boats, plus the fortunate lead time they had before the race. We know that we've got a lot of catch up to do. At the same time, I look at the guys we have on board, the skill set, the enthusiasm, how fit they are relative to probably the other guys are starting to see the fatigue of how far they've got around the world. Got a couple of new team members though that I think have actually brought, added to the team, complemented things. So I think we'll be as competitive as we possibly can be, and that I don't doubt within the team at all.
And lucky to have such outstanding sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate. Like Vestas have stood by us through the whole thing. Like our commercial team and like our directors, Morella and that, like the whole time. Obviously, it's been a hard road for them. Obviously, you join a yacht race as a brand, as a sponsor. You have a vision of how that race is going to go for you. Obviously, things have complicated that. At the same time, for us as the team itself, we want to make sure that we give them a return that it's very respectable, that they can see pride in us, that we've done everything we can to make sure that we never gave up in that sense. So I would like to think that we can still, for the last 6 weeks, create a very positive message to everybody that this is the brand, this is Vestas, this is us, this is our team. And I want to make sure that there's a bit of history there that we should be proud of, but we need to let it go. We've got that away from us now, and we're all just focused on the future and making sure that we can do everything we can for ourselves, especially ourselves, and also our sponsor and the race itself, because the race has been supportive of us, just as much.
Great. Good luck.
No, thank you very much.
No, that was good. Yeah.